Hey guys, Graham from Paragon Performance here. Today we're going to talk about something kind of fun, or maybe something that you hate, called burbles or crackles or pops and bangs. There's a lot of different terms for it, but the concept is the same, and it is essentially making the exhaust pop and crackle when you're coasting, downshifting, or decelerating. Now, some of you might hate this effect that you see a lot on cars these days. Some of you guys might love it. You might want some more of it. Today, I'm going to talk about what it is, how it works, how it applies to these cars, and what we can do with it to help you guys understand it better. It's a question that we get asked about a lot. Some people want it turned off, they hate it. Some people want it to be turned up, they really enjoy it, they want it to happen more. So we're going to talk about all that in a quick video today. All right, so first of all, what is a burble tune, or what are burbles? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what's going on. Essentially, when a car is accelerating or driving, the fueling is turned on, obviously to provide torque out of the engine. When you lift off the throttle in a modern fuel-injected vehicle, what typically happens is the fuel injectors are completely turned off when you're coasting. This is for fuel economy saving reasons more than anything. In order to get the burble effect, essentially what happens is the fueling gets turned back on, and sometimes the ignition timing gets adjusted as well, so that you hear the engine coasting down. You still hear some firing events in the cylinders, and the timing of that is such that you hear it out the exhaust as those crackles. If you have seen old videos of, cars that were carbureted in the old days, or even older fuel injected cars, maybe rally racing, you might be familiar with that sound. When you hear cars lifting off, you hear those pops and those bangs out the exhaust. Back then, it wasn't really intentional. It was just kind of the way engines were ran or tuned. In modern day, it's done on purpose to make cars sound more sporty. Even OEM vehicles like many BMWs, many Fords, a lot of exotic cars, they do burbles on purpose when you are downshifting or coasting down in order to make the car sound sporty. Even the C8 Corvette actually has factory burbles. If you have a factory catback, you may not really notice it because it gets muffled quite a bit, but if you change the catback on a C8, you'll notice that in first and second gear, at just the right RPMs, you will hear some crackles out of the exhaust, and that is intentional by GM. There are specific tables set up for it. So what can we do with the tuning to change the burbles? Well, first of all, we can turn it completely off. We do have some customers that do custom tuning with us that don't like the burble sound at all for whatever reason. We can actually disable it completely so it doesn't do that. On the other hand, we have a lot of customers who, they drive a Corvette because it's loud, it's fun, it's sporty, and they want more of that burble effect. They like the way it sounds in first and second gear from the OEM, but maybe they want it to happen a little bit longer in the RPMs, or they want it to happen in higher gears besides first and second. Well, we can customize all that. We can actually control what gears it works in and from what engine speeds it works from and what it cuts off at. So we can customize all of that when we do your tune for you to make the burble and the exhaust sound the way you want to, which is pretty cool. Now, a common question we get a lot is this bad for my engine? Is it hurting anything? And the answer is no, not really in the sense of typical use, because it's such a light load. You're lifting off the throttle, you're not doing the pops and bangs with heavy load, you're doing them with basically an idle load. It does use a little extra fuel, nothing more significant than idling for a little bit longer, for example, but it's not gonna hurt anything unless it's being used excessively or it's tuned in crazy aggressive like, which isn't something that we'd ever do. It's not gonna hurt anything in that sense, which is exactly why the OEMs do provide this as a factory option. They know it's not hurting anything. Another question we get a lot is, can you make it shoot fire? And to answer that plainly, no, we can't make it shoot fire. If you see that on the internet, if you see cars shooting flames by revving the engine, typically those are running a standalone engine computer. They're doing very different things with the fueling. They're doing very aggressive things with the tuning to make it do that. That could be damaging to the engine. We can't make your C8 shoot flames. Now, if you have a really free-flowing exhaust and you're at night and you're using the burble feature, you might see some small visible flames. I'm not gonna say you won't, but we don't like to promise that you're gonna see fire. That's not something that we can do. So that's a pretty good overview of what burbles are, how they work, and what we can do with them. So let's go jump into the car and I'll go through a demonstration and show you guys what that sounds like. All right, let's fire up the car and I'll give you guys a demonstration of how this works. On this car right now, it's set up so that the burbles work in first, second, third, and fourth gear. Any higher gears, they do not work, so I'll show you that, and then I'll show you how they come in at sooner RPMs, and you'll be able to hear what it sounds like. So here we go. This is also our Hetz cam car, so it's got some nice chop to it. We also have the Borla exhaust on here, so it's got the adjustable valves, so So 6th gear, cruising along, let off the pedal, nothing. 5th gear, nothing. We do 4th gear, we get burbles. 3rd gear, more, and they kind of get intense each time you downshift. There's 2nd gear. Back on the throttle and it's quiet. Now I'll show you, get up into 4th gear here. If I'm up here at, say, 4,500 RPMs and I let off, nothing. But you'll notice when it gets to about 3,200, they'll kick on. Put it in 5th and they stop. So that's kind of how we can control that based on the gear, based on the RPM at which you want them to start. So we offer those different custom options when you tune with us, so you can make it sound the way you want when you want. So that's kind of an overview of the burbles from in the car. So hopefully that answers all your questions about burbles. If you guys are still wondering about anything, feel free to shoot us an email or schedule a phone call and we can talk you through it. But this video should cover it for most of you guys. Hope you guys enjoy.